Brought to you by the Asombro Institute for Science Education, with support from the USDA Southwest Climate Hub.
In Farms on the Table, students will learn about challenges associated with agricultural production by playing a game where they take on the role of a farmer making management decisions. You'll need copies of the handout, dice, and calculators for each group. More heat waves, longer and more severe droughts, more extreme precipitation, insect outbreaks, and wildfires are some of the effects of climate change in the Southwest. Using the PowerPoint, introduce the effects of climate change on agricultural production. In the game, students will be farmers dealing with the effects of climate change. The goal is for their farm to be in the black or making money each year. To avoid getting in the red or losing money, they'll choose adaptation strategies for their farm. Then calculate an output rating. An output rating of greater than or equal to 100 means students' farms stayed in the black, and less than 100 means their farm is in the red. Weather conditions each year will determine if investments were profitable or not. First, students will choose a location for their farm from one of the 5 counties listed on the handout and circle it. Then on page 2, they'll choose climate mitigating adaptations that can reduce the impact of climate change on the farm. Use the PowerPoint to give an overview of the options: no-till planting, hedgerows, water cistern collection and storage unit, soil moisture monitoring, and beehives and flower strips. Students can choose as many adaptations as they want, but there is a cost associated with each. Depending on weather conditions, they may save money in the long term. Students will place a check mark under the ones they choose, write the cost in the last column, and add up the total cost. They will then calculate the starting output factor. Turn to page 3. Students will follow the same steps for each of the 6 years. Copy the starting output factor from page 2 at the top. Next, students must choose at least 2 planting practices or crop treatments to implement on their farm that year. Use the PowerPoint to give an overview of the 9 planting practices and crop treatments. The weather conditions will affect the success of a farmer's choices, so students should consider the climate of their farm. They will place a check mark under the chosen practices and treatments, fill in the chosen costs column, and add up the total cost. After students make their choices, they'll roll the die once for each practice and treatment they chose, and write the number in the die roll column, filling in the numbers from the top to the bottom. Practices and treatments might increase or decrease profits based on the weather that year. You will reveal the weather after students have filled out the die roll column. The weather in year 1 was historically normal. They should write this at the bottom of their worksheet. Show students slide 22, and have them write a plus sign next to the positive investments they chose and a minus sign next to the negative investments. Calculate the output change total by adding up your positive and negative investments. Remind students to pay attention to the plus and minus sign. That means there will be positive and negative numbers. Students will fill in all the blanks at the bottom of the page to calculate the new starting output factor for year 2. When they set up their farm at the beginning, students might have chosen some farm adaptations on page 2. The adaptations at the bottom of the slide turned out to be positive investments in this year. For each one of these adaptations they chose that are on the list, students receive 3 farm adaptation bonus points. The total farm adaptation bonus points should be written at the bottom of the page. For each of the following years, students will follow these steps. First, copy the starting output factor from the previous page. Then choose at least 2 practices and treatments. Put a check mark underneath and write the cost of each in the chosen costs column of the table. Calculate the total cost of the practices and treatments chosen, and write it at the bottom of the table Roll the die for each practice and treatment chosen from top to bottom, and write the number in the die roll column. Then record the weather for the year and see if it caused your investments to be negative or positive. In Year 2, there was a drought. Students must fill in the plus and minus columns using the slide, add them up, and write that number in the output change total box. Add in the farm adaptation bonus points, then calculate a new starting output factor. Follow the same steps for Year 3, where the weather is a heat wave. In Years 3 and 6, there will also be a government subsidy bonus for implementing certain practices. Explain that a subsidy is a cash rebate or tax reduction given by the government to incentivize a certain action. In Year 3, beehives and flower strips are given a subsidy due to the economic value of pollination. Students that invested in beehives and flower strips on page 2 will write a 10 under subsidy bonus at the bottom of page 5. If they did not invest, they'll write a 0. In Year 4, the weather is windy. Year 5 has increased precipitation, and Year 6 has another heat wave. In Year 6, there's also a government subsidy bonus for soil moisture monitoring worth 5 points, and water collection worth 10 points. Students who invested in both will write 15 points. After all 6 years are complete and students have calculated their final output factor, have them answer the questions on the worksheet to analyze the results of the game.
A detailed teacher's guide and accompanying materials for this and other climate change lessons can be found online at asombro.org/climate. Check regularly for updates, new lessons, and information about teacher workshops.